So welcome to, again, directory webinar number 26. Today we're going to be going over the customer journey. And basically, we've talked about in the last few months, talking about the middle of the customer flow of the onboarding process. We're going to kind of shift focus a little bit and start talking about the top of the funnel, the funneling, the customer journey of your BD website and for your business. So that's what we're going to start up today. And like I said just a few minutes ago, we'll go ahead and get started with that in just a little bit. But I want to say hi to everybody again for the beginning of the year. Any conversations or topics of note that anybody would like to ask before we get started? Can anybody hear me? I just sound check. I hear some noise in the background. I know Toby's up. Some other people here as well. So just want to do a sound check, make sure everybody's up here.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's Toby. I was just trying to mute my mic. Okay,
no worries. I can mute you as well if you want to, and you just did, so you're good to go. Brandon, I see your microphone on, but I do not hear you. So I think Frank's going to join us in a little bit as well. Again, so no need to come up com or visual if you do not want, but feel free to do so at any time to join in the conversation. So we kind of broached this last week. I didn't have too much discussion on it. Does anybody have anything that they're looking to work on for their business or their BD directory at the beginning of the year here? Anything that they'd like to focus on? I know we had asked for topics for last week, and we had some requests kind of for the top of funnel stuff in terms of getting some traffic in or talking about some social media stuff, and we'll get to that. But we'll start today over a top of funnel kind of overview stuff. But any other stuff that anybody's looking to do with their directory or has questions on for the new year, just to kind of shout out there if you're looking at doing anything for your business for the new year. Right. Radio silence. Everybody's quiet today. That's fine. We'll get the conversation going here in a little bit. So what I normally do is kind of walk through a couple items from BD that are new. They normally go over most of those on the webinar, but sometimes people don't catch those or don't see some of those items. So I'll go over some of those to begin with here just to get us started. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. One of the things that they have just turned on in the last couple of days, I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of it, is a new advanced setting in here for when people add content to your website. So you may have noticed when people copy and paste items from a Word document or from another web page or something, or maybe it's their own web page, or it's kind of copying the About Us section into their page. There's a lot of background coloration, colors of the font sizes. Maybe it's actually the font type, and so sometimes it can cause a lot of inconsistencies on your site. And let me just go ahead and I'll just show you an example of that from my site. I have one on here as an example. And so what happens is a lot of times everybody's obviously doing their own thing on your website or doing their own advertisement, right? And so what happens is that everybody's in control of their own stuff. So when they're copying and pasting stuff in there, sometimes it may not look congruent. It may not look like some other items that you'd want everybody to see. Like it's just not a good look or not consistent. Let me show you an example of what it can look like sometimes when people copy and paste. So here's an example. Somebody had copied and pasted a COVID policy right from their website or from their Facebook ad. And you notice it has obviously a link in here, but it has that white background in there, and that's because that means it's usually copied and pasted in there. You see it's a different size font, right? This is my normal size here, and this one's a little bit larger. I normally have black. This one looks a little bit gray. So bottom line is it doesn't look bad, right? It's just not very consistent. It could be a totally different font or really huge, or it'd be a totally obnoxious color. And so you may not want to have that. So what they've introduced is this new advanced setting in here. And if you just type in, go to your settings and advanced settings and go to Froala, And that's just the editor. You can actually, I think maybe paste is a better word for it to come up there. There we go. So just type in the word paste into the keyword setting, and this new setting is going to come up here. And so what this is this allows you to, when somebody pastes something into that, what you see is what you get, HTML editor. It basically filters out that pasted content and keeps only that plain text and removes all of that rich text formatting. And so all you have to do is turn that on and hit the save settings, and it'll automatically do that for you. Now, if you don't want them to do that, you want them to be able to cut and paste that in there on their own and keep the formatting, that's perfectly fine, but make sure that that one is turned off. And it is like that by default. So if you do not want that turned on, you don't have to do anything. It's automatically off. But if for some reason you turn it on now, just remember later if somebody's having a problem with that or you want to allow that, you are going to have to come in here and turn that off. Now, let me go into this as an example to kind of show you some other options about that you can do in the dashboard in order to basically equate to do the same thing, either for yourself or for other people that are adding content. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in a community article here as an example. So what you can do is and we're talking about this article content piece right here. This is the Furrow editor. It's just another third-party element that BD uses for their what you see is what you get editing. And normally, if you paste some stuff in here, there is an option here that they've added about a month ago that says clear formatting. So if for some reason you do not have that turned on and you paste some stuff in here that's some other content, it will be able to clear that content. So I'm just going to go to Google. I'm going to do the old I'm feeling lucky button, see where we get. And I'm just going to copy some content from another website. Let's kind of demo this for you guys on how this would work. And then I haven't actually used the setting yet, so we're gonna test it out to see if it's not very lucky today. It's not getting me anywhere. All right, so speed test. Let's go to that website. I'm just going to copy some content from their website and paste it in there and see what we get. All right, so I'm just going to copy some of this stuff in there. Again, this is probably not a good example, but I'm just going to go ahead and paste it in there. There we go. So you notice it copied all the stuff in there. I just copied and pasted. And if we go in the code view here, that's what that little caret is. You notice how it copied over all of the code, the color, the background, all the decoration stuff, right? And so if you did that, you can basically highlight everything and click this clear formatting button, and that sometimes depending on the format, it doesn't work if it's not just like formatted text or bold or something. Sometimes that cannot do that. You notice it's just not doing anything on the formatting. You notice it removes some stuff, but some things in terms of list styles and stuff are still there. So what you can do when you're editing it or adding it in there, what you can do is right click on there and go paste as plain text. And obviously, if you want your people to do this, you'd have to explain to them to be able to do this. But that is an option if you're doing that and you just want to paste in the plain text. You notice it removes everything. Now, if I go into this, it just has line breaks and stuff, and we can kind of clean that up. But it only has the text that you want. Okay. So now I'm going to go into that settings, and I'm going to turn that on, and I'm going to save my settings. And actually, this is a different website. This is my directory toolkit one. So let me go into there, see if I'm logged in. I am not. So let me log in as myself real quick. Hold on. So now that thing I just did with the paste, right click and paste as plain text, that's kind of exactly what this one is going to do. Hopefully when we turn that on and I log in, I'm going to do the same thing on this site, only with that setting turned on. I'm going to use that same code that I just copied there, and I'm going to do it again with that setting on, and we'll see what that does. Now, in theory, that should do the exact same thing as that right click did of just paste plain text. It's just not going to let me add anything in there initially. And you doing the settings is going to make it easier for your people as well to add stuff in there. We'll do the same thing with the community article. I'm going to go ahead and copy that again. And we'll try this again. with those settings turned on. And I'm doing the same thing I did before. I'm just going to paste it right in here. And there you go. So you notice, again, looks like it did not do all that blue formatting, but it looks like it's not foolproof. It looks like it did change over some of the colors, but it's it's not totally styled. And if I go to the clear formatting again, all right. So it looks like it didn't totally remove that, but it did remove some of the colors. So again, maybe not foolproof on that. I was pulling some background images and some other weird HTML elements and stuff like that. So probably a copy and paste from a Word document, that setting is going to work fine, but it did strip some of the stuff. So, so bottom line is that's a new setting there. Hopefully that helps out some people if you want to turn that on. And maybe I'll let them know that it doesn't strip everything. Again, sometimes you guys have to realize too that they don't develop all these elements, like even the picture upload and stuff like that. They're using some other systems as well that's making it easier for them to add different elements to the capabilities of the website. So obviously this is using another editor and they're adding some capability to this, and it's not necessarily always foolproof, but it looks like it did remove some of the elements. And I think for a copy and paste for a Word document, it probably should work pretty good. Any questions on that? There's just some ways to, if you're seeing some of those issues, to clear some formatting potentially. Right click, paste as plain text. Or again, if you get down to the point where any of this stuff in red here, these styles, you can just get rid of that style, right? If you just highlight the style between the quotes there and then go back to the code view, now it's in black and white there, just because you're removing the style. So again, if you need to remove that manually, you may have to go into the code there. You see these have some items still in there as well. And again, you can just get rid of those styles from the quotation to quotations, and that'll just go back to the regular, green HTML code. So it does kind of color highlight those as well if for some reason you have to go in there. And hopefully you won't have to. Again, if you use that just a Word document paste, or you right click and go paste as text, you won't ever have to go in and do that, other than the normal, what you see is what you get editor. And then obviously what you probably want to do is tell people to write original content. They're not copying and pasting from anywhere anyway, and they're just adding their own content in here and using all the normal elements, and that won't be a problem anyway. So those are just a couple different items. Any questions on that from anybody else, or any other questions on some latest BD things that they want to have answered? All right, and let me go. We went over this briefly last week, but this was an update as well in the finance and payment settings for a particular site. You now have the ability to add taxes in there for your particular site. So it is in the additional settings in the VAT tax settings here as well. And this was not working last week, and this is now up here in the pull down. So if you're waiting for this, this is now available. What you can do is you can create a new tax rule per location. And this is, for example, for a state or for a region or a province. If you're in Canada or whatever, you can apply it to specific countries. Let's say it was a Canadian province. You can apply it to all regions, or you can pick a particular state. Again, if each state has its own tax rate, you can add that in there. And then you can add both a primary and a secondary tax on there when it's doing the calculations, and save that for a particular region. And that uses the credit card checkout location for wherever they're checking out. So if they're in Alberta, Canada, and they have their credit card, or they're checking out from that area, that's where it's adding the taxes. So if I am signing up for a Canadian site, but I'm in the US, and I sign up and I pick US, it's not going to add the Canada taxes, because it's only going to do it for where I am basically using my credit card, because they assume obviously that your billing address for your credit card is where you're actually at. And so you can add a tax rule in here, and this is what they added. There is now an inclusive and exclusive setting here in terms of the price. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but inclusive means that if you add a price of $20 and it's inclusive, the tax rate is basically going to be taken out of that amount. So the total of X plus the tax is going to equal that money that you want, the $20. The exclusive is saying, no, it's actually $20, and I want you to add the tax on top of that. It's exclusive of the actual amount. So that's probably the more likely scenario. But, depending if you want to keep the tax inside there, but still, no kidding, just have it as a $20 amount. So that's all that they get billed for, the $20. That would be inclusive. So that's one of the new options that was turned on as well. Right. I don't know what I need to do to wake you guys up this week. Is everybody there? No questions at all from anybody? All right. Well, let me go ahead and get to the presentation for today then. What we're going to go over today, like I said, is let me get my slides up here. We're going to be going over the customer journey. All right. I do need some feedback, though, now here before I get in the presentation. Can you guys see the slides? I need somebody to come up on camera to the chat. I just want to make sure that we're good. Okay, awesome. So, hey, Toby. There's a couple things on here. Yeah, anybody can do a one-on-one with me if they want to book a time. That's fine. Just go to directorytoolkit.com. And you guys can sign up for a time with me. And then, Toby, if that's cool, I'm going to get to your question here in a second.
Sure, no problem.
Okay. All right. So he's asking how to restrict members only to be able to use the one font and size I want. The only thing I think you can set your font setting for the website, right? But because that Ferralla editor is set up for being able to change the font in there, I don't know that you can totally restrict that. The only way to do that is to not have the Ferralla editor on that particular element, so that it's just a text box. Like a multi-line text box instead of using the Ferralla editor, because that has a font option in there. The only thing you can do on the Ferralla editor is change whether they can upload an image or a video, or if that's taken off, or it's just the regular Ferralla editor. So I don't think you can just like remove specific elements of there. It's not like a checkbox where you say remove the font options and remove the bolding or whatever. It's kind of either all that stuff or all that stuff plus the video and image upload. So let me show you guys how to do that, or change the options on that for a particular, I guess, post type or listing type. And that's going to be in the form editor. So you're going to want to go to the toolbox and form manager. And inside of that, each form, so when you think about if I'm posting a job or I'm posting a, sorry, let me go. I'm not sharing my screen here. Sorry. Oh, yeah. All right. So when you think about editing a document or article or whatever, each one of those post types and or the listing has a particular form. So let me go into the let's just pick an event for example, or I was doing the articles earlier, so let me just go to that. So member articles, right? So this is going to have a form. What you're going to want to do is go to customize. Now, if you've already customized it, it's going to be up top here, not in the edited ones, not in the standard ones, but just go find the form that you want. And this is for the article. So when somebody's posting an article, these are all the fields that they're filling in, right? The title, they're adding the description, they're adding the actual content of the categories. That's what this one is. They're adding the smart tags, right? And so in here, this is the post content. You notice here, this is the widget Ferralla editor JavaScript, right? And inside of there's this Ferralla editor user upload. And so that is the one that you use if you want them to upload images and videos. If you just want them to be able to add, just content, you don't want them to be able to add the actual images. What you would do is you would get rid of the user upload and just make it Froella editor, and that will get rid of the opportunity for them to edit the image and the video. And then there's one other one that uses this sparingly, and this is only ones that you would have a post type that an admin would use. There's a third option. It's called Froella editor -admin. And what that does is not only does it allow the user upload of images and video, it adds the little option in the image editor to pull images that are in the back end in your admin settings. So for example, if you have, the general content items in the back end where you upload content for visuals for your graphics, your categories, etc. What that does is it adds a little button there that you can go browse and grab pictures that are in your back end admin settings. So you probably wouldn't want anybody else to be able to do that. Maybe you do. But generally you wouldn't, but that allows that to do that. So again, I would only do that for post types that admins have access to, because it does open up some additional capability. So it's either the original one, user upload, Froella editor by itself, or Froella editor -admin. Those are the three options. But like I said, it's just the image and video piece that's playing with, not for the rest of it. So if you do not want to use the Froella editor, you can go ahead and just hide this one so it's not available. And you can actually add a new field. And what you would do is you would have this, just have it be a text input, multi-line text area, and you can make a new field and have that in there and just have this one, hidden so you can use it later. Or if you want it as the same variable as before, so you don't kind of remove content that was already there, you can literally just get rid of that totally, the CSS class, get rid of that widget, and just have it be a multi-line text by itself. And what that basically will do is that'll just load a multi-line box where they can type in there just like normal. And then it just won't load that editor on top of, or like over top of that box to be able to format it. And what that will do, Toby, is that will, if you just have that, it's whatever they type in there, it's automatically going to use the standard font and size that you have for the body content. It's just going to use that. They're not going to be able to change it. And so hopefully that answered your question. And then just for the settings on that, in case anybody's wondering where that is at, you'll want to go to settings and design settings. And then inside of there's going to be a general settings area where it has all that detail stuff for the default body content. We'll let this load real quick and I'll show you where it's at. So it's going to be in the main web page design in the general tab once you get into there. And then in there's going to be a couple font settings. There's going to be a body font and a heading font. So you can have the heading, you can have the heading be a different font and size than your body font. I'm using Open Sans and Lato, but you can have different settings. And here's the body font size. So 14 and Lato, again, if you want to, or Lato, whatever, however you say that. So if you want a different font, body font or whatever, you can pick whatever you want, pick a different size. And then if they don't have that Froella editor where they can edit it, it's automatically, when it's that body text inside of the page, it's going to have that font family and that font size. And obviously always save changes when you have that, and that should set you up for success on that. Sound good? All right, let me go into the presentation here for today. So today we're going to go over the customer journey. I say you are here, but it's like a map, right? If you ever went to a mall back in the day, right, when people went to malls and we could actually congregate in malls with other people, there would always be something there of a map, right, where it says you are here. You kind of knew where you were at. And the customers that come to your website or directory are pretty much the same thing as that. When they go there to your website, you want to know where they are at, right? Whether it be, are they coming in on the front page? Are they coming in on a landing page from an ad? You want to know where they're at, and they want to know where they're at. And they're going to be looking for that path to success from coming to your website, because they either did a web search or they clicked on your link, and there's a thought in their brain of where they want to get to for going to your website. And your goal is to get them from the "you are here" in the map to the that highlighted store on the other end of the mall that leads to a sale. And so what we're going to talk about today is that customer journey and how you can think about where your customers are at, where they are at, where different customers are at, because they're not all in the same spot, right? So just kind of think through the different customer journeys from your website. And I guess I would almost say just step back a little bit from your website and think about it from the customer's perspective, because a lot of times we have the websites and we think that it's fairly obvious, but if we're constantly surprised by when somebody looks at our website and they're confused, and we're like, how can you be confused? It's very clear what I want you to do. But it's because you know your website in and out. Things may seem more obvious than they really are. And so we're going to talk about that customer journey today. So one of the things that we talked about in a previous webinar, and I actually talked about this with Jason, I think 3 or 4 weeks ago now, when I was on the webinar Wednesday, we kind of went over this during the discussion, and we were talking about the end of the funnel here, the growing customers and making more sales and try to monetize the website. We were kind of talking about that end of the funnel. But what I want to talk about is this overarching idea for this funnel focus today for the customer journey. And this is basically, it doesn't have to be linear time-based, but this is basically the funnel or stages that somebody as a customer will go through, or that you need to think about as you're thinking about where you're getting your customers from the "I am here" to "I want to buy" stages. So you notice here for the funnel focus, it has 3 main segments: the get customers, the keep customers, and the grow customers. And hopefully, if they are an actual customer and they become a customer, they're going to go through all 3 of these stages. They're going to go through this customer journey of coming in the funnel, of being aware of your site, having some interest, garnering some consideration on thinking about buying, actually making the purchase, onboarding with your site, trying to figure out how to execute and add their listing, right? What they can get from it. Getting leads from your site, or getting other input or content from your site, and then hopefully at some point you're going to upsell with them or cross-sell or get referrals from them because they're a happy customer. And so they're going to go through these stages. And so this is not necessarily everybody's customer journey. There's going to be people that maybe jump right to the middle, like they know who you are, they got a referral, and they jump straight to being a customer. They kind of fast track through the other things because they got a referral from a friend. Sometimes people are not even going to join your membership. Maybe they're just buying, maybe you're selling an ebook or some merch or a t-shirt. Somebody's just jumping in on the cross sell, and they're at the end of the funnel, they just buy a t-shirt, right? I'm just using these as examples, but in terms of a customer relationship management, the CRM that I'm sure most businesses have thought about before, this customer lifecycle describes those potential various stages that a consumer can go through or may go through during or after they complete a transaction with your business. And so simply put, it's that point A to point B journey that a customer may take until they make a final purchase. And I kind of equate it to the old game of chutes and ladders that everybody equates to, right? Some customers hit that ladder and go straight up, a bunch of moves, and other people just move around the board one step at a time. But everybody, just by random luck or just what they click or see or read or understand is going to have a little bit different journey. And so the beauty of that customer life cycle, it makes it exciting for both them or for business or whatever. And often the difficulty is that the fact that it's non-linear most of the times, meaning that it can follow a cyclical pattern or a varied pattern, so customer retention at the end and getting that loyalty or whatever, can provide additional people that kind of jump different areas depending on what they get for referral. So it's exciting to know that can happen, but when you got to think about the fact that people coming to your website or going to a landing page are going to be in different stages of this journey. And so you can't have necessarily the same content for every page, or thinking that everybody's coming in at the top of the funnel, or assume that everybody's coming in the middle of the funnel somewhere. You got to change up potentially what you're doing, the content that you have, depending on where those are at. And so the items that you see on the screen here, this is not the end all be all of like the exact stages that they could go through. Everybody, if you read up on this on the internet, everybody has different names for these different things. So here's just a couple other examples of these funnel things. Some people, consider it like awareness, interest, consideration, intent, evaluation, purchase, and loyalty, right? There's a lot of steps, just like the previous one I had. Other people try to simplify it and just go to attract, convert, close, right, on the beginning part of that funnel. And then because that's what they're concerned with, more focusing on. And then other people, it's kind of a variance in between of awareness, consideration, conversion, and advocacy. These are all examples, right? Just like not every plan has a gold, silver, or bronze plan, right? Everyone's a little bit different. You may have different processes that focus on different things. If you're a huge company and you have lots of people to cover down on different areas, maybe you have different people working on awareness, or just people that are leads and have some interest, because you have some salespeople that are doing some follow-up or whatever. They may be dedicated to one of these particular areas. But if you're a solopreneur and you're doing everything on your own, and trying to focus on where everybody's at in your customer journey for your CRM, maybe attract, convert, and close are your 3 tags that you're using on people when they get in there, so you know where they're at. Maybe they just filled in a form and that you haven't ever talked to them, and so they're in the attract bin. Maybe the convert is they've shown some interest, right, but haven't bought anything, so they're in the convert thing. Maybe they're getting a newsletter or some email series that's going to try to get them to make the sale because they've shown some interest. And then maybe the close people are people that have already bought, and so you're kind of nurturing that process and trying to focus on them. So you can set it up however you want. I just want to let you know that when you're seeing these things, don't feel like you've got to have a specific process for each step. Just knowing how this works is really the key factor here. And everybody can set up their own way to do that. So here's my simplified version of this. So just call it the 3 C's of those 3 basic stages of the customer's life cycle that I would like to use. It's just the capture, the convert, and the community. And what I mean by this is that these are basically those 3 stages of the funnel, right? The capture is that whole funnel piece that we're going to kind of talk about. The convert one is the one that we've kind of been talking about, of onboarding, converting them into a customer, making sure that they know, what product they do want to buy. When they do buy it, that they can get onboarded and add their stuff in there, that they know what else is available to them, right? And you can potentially get some other sales. And then the community is just the I would say grooming them, but grabbing them and having them part of your tribe. You've got a group of people on, like if you're a knitting site and you do knitting, it's just providing the community resources. You're always there for them. You answer to them. You're their go-to person. When they think of knitting, they go to you. Maybe you have a community site or a chat stuff that people can go in there and find additional content. Maybe it's a message board. Maybe it's a forum. Maybe it's Zoom meetings. We have one client that's starting up actually multiple Zoom meetings every week just to provide that community and chat. And that itself is providing leads back into the capture or convert parts of those funnel, just by providing the community, because people are jumping on as just for the community part, and then realize that you actually have stuff to sell or additional things to sell, right? If you're adding things throughout time, which we talked about in the webinar with Jason as well. So those are my 3 C's. And if you do nothing else, then think about those things as you're talking about the customer journey. Think about that. How am I capturing? How am I converting? How am I rolling them into the community so they stay and recommend me to other people? Those are the 3 things that I would focus on. So It's not as easy as getting people through those funnels. It's not only is it not linear, it doesn't necessarily go through all those stages. It's also not linear time-wise. And so if you have to map a general customer life cycle map, it may look like this on the adoption curve. A lot of times people are really slow on that very beginning part of the funnel where they don't know anything about you. They don't know what you're offering. They're just kind of window shopping, right? Just kind of seeing what you're about. So the uptake and the outcome is really slow at the beginning, right? And so as soon as they make that conversion, they make that choice of purchasing, then they're all in, right? They bought something, they put some skin in the game, they paid you money, they're logging in. Hopefully they're starting to use your service, and there's a really steep acceleration there. And we talked about this before. This is kind of that onboarding process, right? Where you talk about adoption and making sure that they have initial successes so they keep coming back. And so you want to have some really good traction there when people initially sign up so they get some value out of your site so they come back. And then often what we see is that that plateau, and we talked about this in the monetization thing I did with Jason, that sometimes you forget about the customers you already have, or you don't offer them additional capabilities to get integrated to your community or to buy additional products. You kind of like, okay, great, they're in the membership, you're over here. We're going to go back over here and try to figure out how we can get some more people from Facebook to sign up for our stuff, right? And so you kind of focus back on this slow curve here because there's a lot of work, when a lot of times it's the old, I forget what that principle is, the 80-20 principle, right? Where 80% of your profit and 80% of your action is going to come from 20% of the people that are already members, right? Or that are already part of your group. So don't lose focus on the end part of that flow there. This is generally how it works, but just think about when you're thinking about those 3 C's, how can you help each one of those different phases, not only in how your directory is set up, but when you're thinking about your customer journey, how can you help people that are in all 3 of those stages get some value and benefit from the way that your directory is set up? And if you don't have stuff set up for these people to reach out or to show them some additional products. If you don't have a good onboarding process, or what I see a lot is you're getting a lot of people like paying for ads or getting a lot of traffic to your site, but you don't actually have any content on your site that tells them how to get involved or how to purchase. It's literally just, here's our directory. And that makes that curve slower, right? It takes them forever to figure out what to do on your site. And so there's some improvement that you guys can make for all 3 of those stages. So the first very important thing, which I kind of just talked about it there, when I'm talking about site engagement and getting people involved at all 3 of those stages, is your website navigation, right? Just look at your website in terms of navigation. And what you want to do when you're starting to think about that customer journey, when somebody comes to your website in any one of those particular parts of the funnel, when they land on your page, just look at it and go, what are they seeing? What do they think they need to do next, right? Analyzing how those people engage with their website will not only help you optimize your content, but also be able to understand the interests of your audience and how they're interacting with different pages, right? You got to know what people are clicking on. A lot of people maybe add those scripts in there where they can kind of see the heat maps, right, of what everybody's clicking on, or where they're scrolling to, or more importantly, probably what they're not clicking on, what they don't care about. So maybe you can remove that. Maybe it's A/B testing a little bit to see what you need to add or change. So seeing some of that stuff can help out, just kind of knowing where people are navigating, and then seeing how they navigate and flow through your website can give you a firm understanding of that thought process, right, on what they're thinking about. And then you can use that to your advantage to influence them to go down paths that relate to your objectives. So if everybody goes and clicks on one area button or one area of your site, but when they get there, you don't have any call to action for them to buy or to upgrade or to whatever on that page, then you're probably losing out on some sales. So if everybody goes there, then put some sales content there, some conversion stuff there, and you may see that your sales actually increase. So let me just go over one example of this, and we're not going to deep dive on this today, but I want to kind of show you some capability that a lot of people probably already have there that they just don't realize. So a lot of people have that Google Analytics set up in their directory, and they have that UA code in there, and they just kind of set it and forget it, and they forget that that's recording data, right? And so inside of Google Analytics, there's this report called the Behavioral Flow Report. And if you go in there, and here's an example of a site, you can kind of see the landing page, the starting page that they go to from that landing page, the first interaction and second interaction in terms of what the contents that is on those page. And so kind of like we talked about with the funnel or flow of your customer journey, like this is a visual depiction of your customer journey, right? Everybody is going to a landing page, and that landing page is probably your homepage, right? The / Maybe you have a really big marketing campaign, and maybe most of your people are coming in not on your homepage, they're coming in on the landing page, but you can kind of see where everybody is going to. And this big red box here is the amount of people that are dropping or leaving your page. So you can kind of see maybe pages that are not converting well or pages that are converting well. Again, if you're going to two different starting pages, maybe you A/B test different pages, and it looks like everybody that comes here is leaving. But everybody that's coming to this other page is actually getting through to my shopping cart. You can kind of learn lessons here about either what's performing, or even more importantly, probably, is that people are not going to the pages either you thought they were or you want them to go to. Because if everybody on this page is going here, which this one's the cart, so that's probably a good one, right? Because you're going to hopefully make some sales there. But if everybody is going to an area that is not going to that card or is going to steering them away from a purchase opportunity, you may want to analyze why that is and kind of reassess maybe your navigation, your calls to action, or even the types or amount of pages you have for different content, right? It all relates. It takes some time to do that, but this is the kind of stuff that you want to kind of start looking at in terms of making it more efficient and thinking about that customer journey. Because this is, whether you think about it or not, this is the journey that people are seeing. They're seeing your landing page, they're seeing the starting page, and then they're going to the cart, but they're leaving, so a majority of people are maybe not going where you want to go. So assess that. And there's another report, it's called the goal flow. And so this kind of shows you for people that convert, if you're setting up these conversion things, a page on there for an actual sales page, it can tell you the people that got to the end to convert, how did they get there? Did they go? Did they come from an external link? Did they come from Google? Right? Was it an internal link? Maybe they got it. Everybody that's converting maybe initially came from your sales page, and they're coming from an internal link, not directly to a sales page from Google. You can see here, maybe there's some on this one. There's external links that just went straight to the buy page or continue to buy page, right? And so there may be some content on here that you assumed everybody was reading, but you realize that half of the people don't even go through that page. And so maybe a lot of that checkout loss is because they got here and they're like confused because all they see is the checkout page or, just some other content, and it's missing half of the information. So, so this can help. So you basically want to get all of these flows looking like this is to maximize the end result. So we could deep dive on that one for days, right? And there's and I'm probably not the expert on these anyway. There's probably somebody listening here that's even more adept at that than I am even. But it's that stuff potentially is there for you to look at. You just have to look at it. And again, this is deep diving stuff. Some of the stuff is even more simpler than that, just by looking at your pages and realizing that the content for a particular person is just not there. And it may just be that simple. So let's talk about that real quick. So we already talked about that everybody on your website is not at the same stage, right? So when people come to your website, they're not necessarily at the same spot, right? They're at different buying stages. And because of that, they're going to act differently based on what content is on that page and what's on there. So it's not sufficient just to have one buyer persona in your mind that everybody's coming at the top of funnel or everybody's going there just with the intent to buy. people are going to have different views and they're going to behave differently. So it's worth distinguishing between somebody who has been doing market research for a few months, right, and is ready to make their purchase, and somebody who's only recently begun to think about or problem solving their particular need, and thinking about whether they're going to use your service, product, or pay for your directory membership, right? And so they're going to behave different. So just think about that when you look at your pages or your funnels or your landing pages. Think about those different aspects and look at it and go, you know what? If I was this person and I landed on this page, am I going to click off from it? Or do I have an option for them to do? And I don't know if Rich is on here today, but he made from the podcasters directory, he made a change last week that after we had talked about this briefly. And it used to just have a search box, but it didn't have a call to action for various members of different people coming to their site. And so he changed up his front page just to have some buttons for everybody that would be coming to his page. So it's just very easy to say, this is me, right? So if this is a podcasting website, so it's just set up for people that are looking for podcasters or podcasters that are looking for guests or podcasters that are not looking for guests, but looking for resources to help them out with their podcast. So they're one of those three areas. And so now when they come here, he's got a very clear start here button in orange, right? So if you had any questions like, where do I start? It says, click here, get started now, right? Or they have easy buttons here where they can go, if I'm a podcast guest or a podcaster or a product and service vendor, I'm going to join here. And you literally just click there and it speaks to multiple people. So that's just one example. It's not a very in-depth example, but you can see that it doesn't have to be the homepage. It can be other pages. It could just be the content on the page, the wording. Does that speak to everybody potentially for a customer journey? Or it could be the opposite problem where it's too specific. Too generic, excuse me. And so you're paying for maybe Facebook ads, or you're posting or linking from an article to a page, and there's so much stuff on there that the person that you're targeting for either advertisement or whatever thinks that it doesn't apply to them, or it's not targeted enough to them because it's talking about other stuff that doesn't apply to them. So maybe it needs to be more specific because you're doing some targeted ads and you're catering to a particular person, and so you want that sales page or that landing page to speak directly to them. So maybe it needs to be even more direct. So just think about that potentiality as well. So as you guys are doing these different pathways, and you can step through it in navigation, just kind of think, okay, if I'm coming here and I'm landing here, what would I click on next? If I click on this next, what am I going to see next? What are the pathways? Not necessarily what I think that people are doing. What am I seeing on those Google Analytics, or what are people telling me that they're having confusion with, or the journey is snagging somewhere, right? And so, like the fingerprint on the screen here, every one of those is going to be potentially different or slightly different, right, for each of those different areas. So think about those pathways, and as you're going through there and looking at your site, ask yourselves the following questions, right? Where do I go if I come here and I have X problem, right? That I think I solve. If they have this problem and I look at this text, am I going to know that I solved that? Are they going to know what to do in order to solve that problem when they have whatever that problem is, that issue that you're always trying to solve? So ask that question. Where do I go if I go to my site and I discover that this thing solves my problem? Do I tell them where to go to sign up? Do I have the proper navigation cues at the end to make that call to action to say, click here to subscribe? Or to maybe I have a questionable, like, I think I want to subscribe, but I don't know all that you offer. Do you have a feature button? Whatever that question is, do you offer that next step to answer that question? And then, maybe it's you get to your checkout page and you're asking yourself, do I have that confidence booster on the side there to know that it's secure, that I'm not going to spam them, that other people have bought? Do I have testimonials on there or social cues just to make them feel good to hit that click button? And then think about when somebody's already a person on your site that's already subscribing, is there something there for them, or is it all geared towards new people? Do they have something to do to interact them, to keep them wanting to come back and engaging them? Is that available to them somewhere on the site when they go in there? So think about, customer journey too. After they log in, what are they going? Am I sending them somewhere after they log in to show them what's new or news or resources, or am I just shoveling them to their dashboard and they just sitting there staring at their dashboard all day and don't know what to do, right? So think about that customer journey, what the BD system can do for you to maybe improve that situation. And so hopefully if you guys think about all those questions, that should reveal some of those touch points pretty clearly. And knowing what those goals associated with each of those touch points can hopefully improve your customer journey or your customer pathway. And so just as you're doing that, think about it in terms of this. And so you see the customer journey there at the top. Again, just a notional example. Again, this one has awareness, consideration, purchase, servicing or onboarding, and then loyalty, right? The expansion, the additional sales to existing clients at the end. But realize, like I said earlier, that process flow of a customer, it's not a linear straight line. You don't just go from awareness to consideration or purchase, like one thing, right? As they're moving through that journey, they may have several touch points or things with your service that they are interacting with your brand or your outreach that is making them choose or not choose, or buy or not buy, or buy more or not buy more as they go through this journey. So it's not just about a linear site navigation. That was one example that we just did with Google, right? Or as you're thinking about clicking around your website. But this is an example of that curving road of something that's one particular person going through your customer journey from awareness to loyalty, some of those interactions that they may have with your business. Now, some of these may be more for bigger business, or if you have a lot of other stuff that you may not be doing all these things, right? But maybe they see that radio or print advertisement. We have one person that's actually starting to buy billboards and advertising their directory and billboards in their town. So maybe it's that billboard that they see. Maybe it's somebody in town or on a Facebook post that gives them a word of mouth. They see something online. Maybe it is a Google search. So that there's all different types of awareness types. So for consideration, maybe that is a search engine as well. Maybe it's paid content that you're paying and you're telling them what you want them to see. Maybe it's an email campaign. Maybe it's a forwarded email campaign of somebody else that forwarded an email for you. Do you have something in there that doesn't assume that whoever's getting that is a current client? Maybe you're missing out there. Maybe they got to a website or landing page and they're reading some content, social media posts, direct email. Some people direct mail stuff and send stuff to people, right? Maybe it's that consideration piece. For the purchase, maybe it's something on a mobile app or your website, or maybe they have I do this for my local businesses. I have a thing where they can put a little sticky on their website for the local business directory, right? And if they put that in their window, then they get a discount from me, right? So maybe it's that. Maybe they just saw my icon and website on a shop window. Who knows? And so you guys get the point. But every one of these interactions, whether it be maybe it's a chat thing or phone or survey that you send out or promotion that somebody forwarded because it's a viral campaign from somebody else, all of these things you have to consider in this customer journey, and they don't necessarily have to align totally, but just think about that, because a lot of people don't. They're going to see different touch points along the way, and do all of your messaging kind of point in the same flow or direction? Do they align? Do they make sense? Are they all kind of asking people to do the same thing? And will all of these, when we get back to that funnel again, do all of these things eventually funnel them to either a purchase, making them happy, or getting additional sales from them? Are they getting them through this flow? And if they're just kind of like one-off, I'll just use the email as an example again. If they're just getting an email and it just has some content in there, but you're not doing a call to action or assume that it's going to an existing customer or whatever, they're just reading the content going, oh, that was really good content. Delete. And their next email. And they didn't realize that there was the rest of this path here. They didn't realize it was a site, or that you offered additional products, or that there was a sale going on or whatever. Just think about that. It's just one real easy example, but you want to make sure that they're all speaking to the same thing, and that those processes can help them visualize their literal journey through the funnel as you guys do that. And so as you guys realize that there's additional stuff to that funnel, it's all those touch points, right? And then you now know that there are people in different stages, right? That early, middle, or late stage. You have to realize too that those different pieces of content, right, weigh differently for people in various stages. And so if you're just focused on, I'll just use this example of like we're on a webinar, right? So if all I'm focusing on are webinars, I don't do anything else, and I'm just doing stuff on webinars, that only applies to 14% of or 53% of middle people, but only 36% of early stage people, right? 73% are focused on blog articles or get most of that initial feel or importance about what you're offering through an article or a blog. So maybe if I don't have any customers yet, maybe I hold off on doing the webinar or just doing like in-person events. And maybe I just need to focus on adding some additional content and maybe posting that to Facebook groups or posting articles to news places or doing something, press releases. Maybe I just need to start adding more content to my site, because when people go to the site, it's empty. And I'm saying doing a webinar, I'm sending out social media and I'm saying, hey, come to my site, and they come there and there's no content. They're just going to instantly leave. So just think about this when you guys can look at this on the replay as well. But there may be the focus that you're focusing on may change depending on which segment that you're focusing on. And the real big thing here, I think the broader point is that all of these are going to reach different amounts of people in different stages, right? So you kind of have to potentially do more than just one thing, right? You shouldn't just do like, I post on this one community Facebook group only, and that's it. That's all I do. It's probably not going to garner you too many sales, and you're going to be a dead end. You're going to get frustrated. You gotta spread the wealth and toss it around, and just realize that it does apply to different stages, just a little bit different. So going back to the funnel thing that we talked about earlier, it just kind of brings it all together here when you're talking about those different stages of awareness, interest, action, loyalty, and advocacy. And we have some examples over on the right-hand side of potentially what things would help out with that in terms of content processes or things that you could do. So if you're working on awareness, right? Maybe you have a diverse campaign doing some SEO stuff and focusing on that. Maybe you're working on some blog posts like we just talked about. That's early stage things. You're working on some of that web content, right? Social media can actually be that content, right? If it's just not a picture of a cat, right? Running in circles, it's actually some content that can provide some additional pull. Just aimed at your target demographics, right? That'll get you some volume stuff. Maybe if you're focusing on some interest piece for people that are, aware of your content, but you want to try to stoke the interest in there. Maybe you provide some customer success stories, right? And provide some additional pull on that. Let me just use an example of that on mine. I'm going to go to my my Facebook page. Just for my directory toolkit. Something I've been doing for one of the softwares I have is just kind of posting some social posts of feedback that I've been getting from testimonials from other people, right? So this service actually auto posts that to my particular feed. So I have, the webinar that we did last week, but it also has content of social posts and feedback from other people that they've added in there. And it just kind of shows that social proof, that other examples of why other people may want to utilize my services, right? So those are just examples, but maybe you provide those success stories. Maybe it's more of a use case thing. So maybe some people are wondering, what does your directory do? Grab somebody that it could be somebody but somebody that has used your site or your services and had success based off from that. Come up with a use case, a customer success story, and put it on your website and have people empathize and go, wow, that could be me. That success right there could be me if I use this directory. Wow, you got a lead. that quick. That's amazing. That I want to have that. So maybe I want to sign up so that you can provide that success story. Maybe it's more of an email marketing campaign on this one. Again, maybe an autoresponder, which we've talked about a couple weeks ago. It's providing additional information for there, and try to get some additional leads from that. Maybe it's an action step. So maybe you do some stuff with special trial offers, or you actually, instead of just signing people up for your newsletter, you actually send one out, right? Because I know a lot of people have a bunch of people that have signed up for your newsletter on that thing because it defaults to that, but nobody's actually ever sent a newsletter. So maybe you send one with a free trial or a discount or a coupon, or tell them about an additional feature that you just turned on that's, quote, new, right? Because you just turned it on. Just let them know about that. Try to get them to convert on their interest, right, and actually make the sale based off from that initial sale or offer. Maybe it's in a loyalty thing. So maybe you haven't reached out to your customers that you currently have and asked them maybe for a referral. Maybe you haven't asked them to upgrade to the next higher plan. Maybe you haven't asked them to to write a blog article, or if it's businesses, add a coupon. Maybe you haven't asked for that stuff lately. So keep those hard-earned customers involved in your site, because if they have, your site's fairly new and they haven't been getting leads, and you haven't been sending newsletters, or you haven't been, tapping on their door saying, hey, we're here. We're here for you. We have resources for you. If you're not pulling them back in there, they're either going to forget about you, not interact, and then the next time they have to renew, they may not push that button to renew, or they may cancel and remove that membership that was on auto renew, right? So maybe you need to focus on your loyalty piece a little bit more. And then advocacy, maybe you have, you work on those testimonials, or you do ask for some leads from people. I know Frank does this all the time for businesses that he has on there, when they're like, hey, sometimes if he just does something for free or a small item, and they're like, hey, what can I do for you? Hey, why don't you go ahead and charge me for that? And they're like, no, if you don't mind, just giving me a couple referrals from your network, that since you value my service, that I can hopefully provide from them. And that's, if you can provide some leads for me, that'd be great. So just ask for some advocacy from your current customers, and sometimes they'd be willing to oblige that. So just an example, again, thinking about all those different things that you could do in different parts of the funnel as you're thinking about where your customers are in the particular journey, what you're offering them, what's on your website, what you're posting, what you're doing for them, where are they at? And so hopefully that opens up some thought pieces for everybody there. And then the last thing I want to talk about today is this one, and this is don't freak out when you see this. It's very complicated, but this is probably one of the better map strategies for marketing. It's called a marketing stack from this company, and I'm going to go to the live website here, and you guys, it's a really easy website, so you guys can go to it as well, and you guys can look at it. But what it basically does is it if you're thinking about a business, so you as a directory owner, and you're thinking about your marketing efforts to market your directory, it's basically a marketing journey for you, the business owner, kind of the opposite side of what we just talked about. What are you as a business owner focusing your marketing efforts and energy on? And where are you? What zone are you in for your stage of your directory? And what should you currently be doing? And I know it's probably a little bit small, so let me blow it up for the first half of the diagram here. So as an example, if you're in zone 1 for marketing efforts, this is, I kind of break it down into attribution stuff like statistics and analytics stuff, paid marketing, organic marketing, like where you're just, getting content just free from Google or, from shares from other people. Presence, meaning like branding, online stuff, content, that kind of stuff, just branding, like getting your name out there. And then the black is just general, like you're a business, you need to do operations and customer service stuff, right? That's what you're doing. And they've basically kind of mapped out a journey that they have online here, and you guys can go look at it, that it kind of focuses on the linear stuff of what you as a business should be doing. And sometimes it's telling on that people are focusing on the wrong things for the wrong stage of the business. So if you're looking at zone 1 and you're just starting out your directory, you're literally just like setting it up, right? You're getting your name and address, your domain name, your trademark. You're setting up who's doing your accounting. What's my brand, my logo? I'm going to make some initial photo and videos for my webpage. I'm going to ask that once I launch, I'm going to ask my initial network, right, for referrals and word of mouth and get that going right away. And I'm gonna start getting a database for CRM to start getting customer data so I can do something with that. And I'm gonna set up my payment processing, right? So zone 1, if you think about it, that's what everybody's doing in terms of their business processes for marketing and or other stuff, right? And then we get into zone 2, where we start adding content, right? We start turning on the web analytics stuff and the email analytics. We start looking at that customer journey, right? The user experience, where they're going. Maybe I'm setting up an e-commerce thing at that point, or adding some products. I'm looking at what page stuff I'm using or what pages I'm adding onto the web page and all that stuff. And I'm getting all those email templates kind of set up. That's kind of a zone 2. And maybe asking for some initial customer feedback, right? I start getting some people. I can start asking them, what were your pain points during sign up? What are you interested in? What are you not interested in? Maybe I change, the focus on my website early on. And you guys can get the point here as we go through all these different zones, right? We're adding additional layers of functionality and content to our webpage. The interesting thing, what I want you guys to look at is zone 6, right? This is stuff that you should be concerned about when you've got a well-oiled machine for all this other stuff and you've got some money coming in or whatever. You should probably be focusing on this stuff. But notice what it is. Chatbots. I need an app. I'm going to do some events for my local stuff. I'm throwing in an event and doing online stuff. I'm gonna do a bunch of ads. Like I'm gonna do a billboard, or I'm gonna do a radio spot, or send out a direct mail. I'm getting affiliates on board. I'm getting an affiliate program. I'm reaching out to social media influencers and paying a lot of money to people to focus on my website. The interesting thing about this is these are all zone 6s in their analysis, and I would tend to agree with this one. You see how easy everybody focuses on like jumping into all this complex stuff? Yeah. Good.
Yeah, we have 11:30 podcast. Yeah,
I'm working from home tomorrow.
Okay.
So
Okay. Hold on, let me just mute everybody here.
Do you set off the alarm? What do you do? I heard.
Set off the alarm.
Okay.
And I'll alert. I'll say send the cavalry.
Yeah, you may want to call them ahead of time.
Sharpshooters, fire department, police
Wow.
department.
Okay.
Okay
then.
All right. There we go. Sorry about that. So everybody was so quiet there for a while. I didn't know anybody had their microphone on, so I apologize. But the bottom line here is that a lot of times people jump to this because they're shiny, they're Gucci, they sound good, everybody wants these, right? But what happens is maybe you don't even have any social media campaign. You haven't looked at the SEO. Maybe you don't even have any content. Maybe you haven't actually, started some initial landing pages, right, to make the conversion. So when people that are listening to these ads are getting influencers or people come from your chatbot or come in there or they have an app, there's nothing there for them to go into or look at, right? And so just something to consider. And let me go live to the website here so you guys can see the website here, where that's at. Sorry, let me go grab that link here. So here's the website. It's tidings.com, tidings.com/stack. And so they have that whole visual thing here. You can actually zoom in, zoom out, kind of maneuver around that. And then they kind of detail out all the different components. And vendor actually have some recommended potential things that you can do for each one of these business operational things, right? Or something to go look at, whether it be, getting an email campaign or some other stuff. So it's a really unique kind of layout of the land. But that's the last thing I just want to leave you guys with today. When you guys are thinking about your customer journey, think about which one of and realizing each one of these different focuses, right? Cater to different people in different stages. but think about where you're at right now in terms of your complexity of your business processes or whatever. Think about where your money, your time and effort should be going in terms of what you're doing. Try not to, and again, this isn't, the end all be all. Again, this is one, company's model, but it is interesting to think about, right? Are you set up for success with your landing pages or your CRM or your scheduling process, your email autoresponders or your processes or your templates or whatever, all that stuff? Are these all aligned for you to have success when you start jumping into these other higher end conversion stuff? Because a lot of times these end up being things that take a lot of time as well to set up and work correctly. And often, again, if you're a smaller company, a solopreneur, it may not be the things that you want to focus on. Maybe having a kick butt landing page or some really a ton of focused content that you can just literally have people, go viral, have people share, and they get that good content. You may get more sales off from doing that than you'll ever get by having an app, right? Or throwing an event, because if that stuff's not there to seal the deal on the back end, you're just spinning your wheels and potentially, right, there and not making any conversions and potentially burn out because you don't have the success behind you. So, and does that resonate with anybody else? Anybody there? Does anybody have any questions or want to talk about anything further or whatever? Hopefully that if you guys think about that customer journey, you can look at your own website, maybe with a little bit different critical eye now, by looking at it and not thinking about it you as the directory owner, but by looking at it from the customer's perspective and seeing maybe what you were missing before. So let me go ahead and I'll unmute everybody here again, and so anybody can jump in on the conversation if you want. Did I put everybody to sleep today? Did I do my job?
Ryan, I don't know if you can hear me. My microphone's just kind of keeps spinning.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Rich.
Oh, cool. Okay. So I actually put some comments and questions in the chat.
Okay, I was presenting, so I did not read those.
Yeah,
so I'll work my way back through those.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your presentation, but I didn't want to lose my thought or question, so I just kind of put them in there as like talking points for reference, reference-wise. But
yeah, good.
Let me see. So the first one I was mentioning was about, where is it? Yeah, when you referenced the those three buttons that we added, the call to action on the home page, if you can pull that back up, okay. It was instrumental, just not just for myself, but maybe some other members can extrapolate or see real world difference it made on our website and our results, because that was up until last week's or the week before, whatever it was, you did the webinar. Our page used to have just kind of the scrolling, just an image up there. And ours is a little bit unique. Every directory is unique, but in ours, it's not hyper local to a town or a city. So but it used to have, instead of, searching by like an Airbnb, where do you want to book your home kind of thing and location, it used to say search by topic. So in theory, people could, type in a podcast topic, but what good was that doing anybody? It's like, and so the whole idea is to match people. So when you showed this illustration, be able to change the home page and add in those buttons, now it's like a game changer as far as people navigating, and it's real, super simple. But then yesterday, as of just like yesterday, we had 2 more people asking website visitors about pricing. So I used to have a pricing tab on there and then go to another page and try to navigate. But when I know myself as a visitor, I go to other sites, I'm thinking, oh, this is a cool widget, I might be interested, this is intriguing, and watch the video, but how much does it cost? And if it takes, I think, I don't know if you'll subscribe to this, but if it takes too long to figure out how much it costs, I'm gonna maybe kind of move on or whatever, or it's just frustrating.
Well, the 2 things that you would generally see are a pricing thing up at the top, or definitely I always just scroll to the bottom. That's a great point. And I look up pricing, right? So let's say any website, just like a service, whatever comes to your mind. What do you got?
Well, the one you just went to.
Well, just tell me a random service. I'm just going to demo. Was that?
the tidings one I went to, and it says, I'm not sure what tab we were supposed to click on there, but to find that graph, we'll come back to that. But go ahead and go to the website you were just talking about.
Well, let's just. I'm just going to throw one out there, just real quick. So we're talking email. So let's go to Aweber, right? I don't use Aweber. It's a great email marketing system, right?
Right.
And so we're going to go to their site. Boom, pricing.
Yeah.
Right. I guarantee you, if it's not there, it's probably both places on theirs. Yeah. About Aweber, boom, pricing.
Yeah.
Right. And so if that's that may be something everybody wants to add in the about section down there. Again, some people want to hide that. Like everybody looks for it. If they can't find it, again, if somebody's leaving your site because they can't find that, you're going to lose them anyway, right?
Well, so I'm making a note because I'm going to add pricing now to our footer. That's a great point, because I'm just thinking myself as a consumer at any other website. That's typically what I go to, within pretty short order. Because if I land at a website that's of no interest to me, I don't care what the price is. Right. But if I have some level of interest, I'm going to think, well, is this $1 or $10,000, whatever? It's even in the realm of possibility, right?
Right.
But, so I think
again, BD,
yeah,
right,
right,
has theirs right here, right? Yeah. Pricing. I bet it's at the bottom as well. They have the affiliate program. Again, you don't necessarily have to have it in both. Like when it's that plain at the front, they're probably not going to necessarily have to scroll down to the bottom to see it. But
but if they kind of go to your home page and they just naturally scroll and they see, oh, these are the features, these are the testimonials, I saw a video, this looks cool, and they're going to go to the bottom, kind of just to make
right. But so consider this one, like this one's it's at the top, but it's also at the bottom because it's on the menu.
That's the way
to do it, at the top, right? So that's a potential area where everybody could do it too. Where, you don't have your floating menu on, but
click on. But what's interesting is click on one of those three boxes, guest or in one of those three, and you notice another thing I put in the chat I changed is prior to just a few days or yesterday, whatever. It used to have, has this, but see what has a click here. I had those tabs, those blue tabs, those call to action. It only said click here or learn more kind of thing, right? And again, based on 2 visitors, and if 2 people are emailing me and contacting, imagine how many other people are not responding but had the same challenge or frustration. And I had a nonprofit in Texas, whatever. They're like, this looks very interesting, but I went to your site. We don't have a budget for this, and I couldn't see your pricing. And so now, as of that comment, I added not only the blue tabs to change to pricing, but go back to the pricing because it's going to go to the same place. It's kind of finished
right here.
Well, no, at the very top.
Okay.
Because that's real clear, those blue buttons. But if you don't get to those blue buttons, and like we said, you click pricing on the main menu or pricing on the footer, and look where it goes.
Well, it goes here. It should, right?
Well, yeah. Then if you go back to the homepage, so you see the difference, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, so it goes to the same place. But
let me say a couple of things for you, Rich, here on the pricing thing. One thing you could do too, depending on if you have a free version or a really cheap version, you almost could get people to click it by saying, click here, prices starting from $5 a month or something. I don't know, whatever you want. They're like, holy crap, it's only $5 a month. And then they get that to click on there. Obviously, you may not want to do that if your lowest plan is $100 a month. They're like starting at $100 a month. And they're like, we didn't hit the back button fast enough. Right. So you got to play that one out, but maybe having telling them that there's a the cheapest one's really cheap that may get them to click the button. But you're saying this one goes to the same page. I guess I'm confused on.
Yeah, well, same page because I don't want to create a whole nother page or whatever, and so that means that they didn't click on one of the 3 colored buttons there. They just want to know the price. And on those buttons that doesn't say click here for price, it says join here. And they're thinking, I'm not ready to join, but I'll check out the pricing. And so they haven't clicked on one of the 3 buttons. If they click the 3 buttons, they're going to see the pricing. But like you and I went into, like you went to Aweber, if you just click on the pricing, it's going to go to, in essence, I mean, I could send them right to the,
well, Well, yours is a little bit different because you don't have one pricing page. For everybody who's watching, he's got 3 different pricing pages, right? So he's got. I mean, you could potentially put all 9 of these right on one page. He's decided to do a separate pricing page for each one. So it's a little bit different for you. But is there a reason that you don't want that to go?
I just need a couple pictures taken.
Is there a reason you don't want to go straight to the pricing page?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is there a reason you don't want them to go straight to that individual pricing page?
Well, because it kind of can't, because they have to pick which bucket they're going to be into.
Well, they already did. So if you're on the home page,
right?
And I'm just pulling it up here, and it says podcasters,
right?
Or products and services. Why am I going to the page that has all of the pricing questions again? Why am I not just going to the pricing page for that?
Oh yeah, let me see that. I see what you're saying now. I should just go right to that pricing page.
Yeah, because
I kind of want to.
This is.
Yeah, you click that again.
Depends how you want to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Click one of those 3 buttons again, because I know I have the video on there, and I don't have the video on the how it works. Basically, I don't have the video on the. You're
just creating another step here, really, Rich. Because if I'm a guest, and it's like join here. They're like, okay, I'm a guest, I want to join, and they're like, oh, now I got to make another choice. What am I like? Now I'm reading all these.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I have to click. Now you have to click twice in order to get to the join.
Yeah, I'm gonna make
the pricing button. The pricing button should go here because it's just like pricing. They kind of know. They're like, okay, which one am I? I'm going to go to pricing. Perhaps, but the one on the page, if it says sign up for a guest, it should go straight to here.
Okay, I'm going to make that change.
One other change I'd recommend there for you, Rich, is that on the actual homepage, I would maybe swap out the join here after you alert who they're looking for. Because right now I read join here. I'm looking at join here, and I don't know who I am yet. It's probably better to go looking for podcast guests or podcasts looking to get on or something, or just podcast guests. Are you a podcaster? Join here. So it basically alerts. Are you this? No. Yep, that's me.
Oh.
Join. Okay, got it. I may switch the wording.
Yeah, actually, I spent crazy amount of time trying to get the wording, and because of the spacing of the characters between mobile and desktop, and to get it to space out. Because if I just change one of the words to click here instead of join here or sign up, it created crazy spacing on the box.
Well, you could stack them too, Rich, and just have them horizontal and have 3 buttons as well instead of the squares. That's another potentiality.
Yeah, I may need you to help me on that one. There,
okay.
But I don't know.
Because when I look at this on mobile, right, you're trying to scrunch 3 square, or it may just be we just need to change the mobile view of the square. Let me see what it's looking like here.
Yeah, on the mobile, that's why I kind of manipulate some stuff, because it does.
Okay, it looks fine on mobile, but
yeah, it looks great on mobile. How did you switch to mobile like on that so quick?
If you guys are on Chrome and you right click and go to inspect, on the top left hand side of that inspection thing, there's a little looks like an iPhone and an iPad combo button that's black. And so if you toggle that toolbar, toggle that thing, it changes it from mobile view to a desktop view.
And I clicked on it. What was the thing I was supposed to click under? Elements or console or sources?
No, the one next to it, the little iPhone,
arrow?
iPad combo button.
Oh, I see. Toggle device. Oh, wow. Dude, that's huge.
So that way everybody can see what that looks like on a mobile view. And so what you'll be able to see is if there's some stuff that's hidden, you'll be able to see that's hidden, or like, whoa, that looks weird on a mobile.
Right.
And so that's the quick way to look at it. Yep. So you don't have to, or otherwise just browse with your phone at the same time.
That's what I'm constantly doing. I'm going back to my phone, and wow, I had no clue. That's huge. Okay, one last question, then you can switch gears to other topics or whatever. But when you click on the pricing or one of the boxes, because right now it goes to the same. I am going to switch that and go right to the pricing table. What is your thought on this layout? So if you click on pricing, it pulls up the video up top. And my school of thought on this is that I don't know if it's clicking and still trying to circle or not, but if you click on it,
it's thinking.
Yeah. So the first thing that appears is the video, but not on the pricing table. Yeah, just under pricing.
I know it just was.
Or you can click one of the three boxes. Right now they go to the same place. But my school of thought on this is that the video populates first because that is more mobile friendly, and I really want them to kind of watch our 1 minute, how it works or what we're doing. Because I know as a visitor too, I like to kind of see a video before, because otherwise, what am I buying, right? And as opposed to a lot of text. The only challenge with that, it kind of hides the question of why I landed there. I have to scroll down. It's not the top of the fold in order to see the pricing. So I guess I could remove the header up top because I clicked on pricing and I'm not seeing pricing. I see join today for free.
Right. Yeah.
And,
you could remove the header on this page, is what you're saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that'll help pull it up.
It looks like that.
Yeah, because I don't want them to, click through to join, and they don't really know what they're joining. I want them to see a video. But if I put the video below it, which I think would be greater, if you scroll down a little bit and just imagine right below the three boxes there, you scroll down a little bit, right below the boxes, the video would fit perfectly under there. But then in a mobile thing, they're not going to see the video because it's going to stack guest, podcast host stack brand. They're going to have to scroll down to the bottom to see the video. So, what are your thoughts on that layout and that optics or choices?
Well, at this point, this may be overkill they just want to know the pricing for whatever they are. And so maybe you just have, you just have a button that says podcast guests from $5 a month. Click here for full pricing. And it's just literally 3 buttons, right? And they're not trying to make the sale here. They just want to know, I'm a guest. How much is this going to cost? Yeah. You may just have to simplify it there.
Kind of like the 3 buttons on the homepage. Just replicate those in case they jump ahead and don't and click on pricing.
Yeah, and then you could put that again if it's that small. You could just put that at the top so they get that right away, and then you can still see the video below the fold. I know you already have the video done, and you have the promo code. If you want people to watch the video and you think it's a really good video, just for everybody watching as well, something that you can do is don't give them the promo code here. You would just say. Watch the video for a 20% off promo code at the end of the video or something like that, right. And you would actually put the promo thing in the video at the end and not put it on the website. That's another thing if you're trying to get have them to watch the video. But
that's a great tactic, yeah. Okay, well I love that. So I'm going to make those. Now I got some new homework to work on. I'll make those changes.
Always more homework. That's why I give everybody like 80 years of stuff to do after every webinar. One of the comments and the questions there. Sorry, it took me this long to get to it. Somebody was asking like what the website was for the previous webinars, and so it already forwarded to my YouTube channel, but it's directoryvideos.com. Directoryvideos.com. And it'll forward to my YouTube channel here, and it'll be on here. I forgot as well, so you'll see it. But directoryvideos.com. And if anybody wants to see the replay of this one or any of the other 25 webinars that we've done in the past, you can go here to see the rest of them, and they're all here for you guys to watch. So I know that was one of the questions. All right, let me go back to the chat here real quick. So Scott, hopefully you're still here and that answered your question. Jeremiah, we talked. Go ahead and schedule something if you want. Answer Toby's question.
It looks like you're.
Robert, did you want to jump in? You said you have something to contribute that the tech support helped you on. If you want to jump on, I don't see you on screen here. So if you want to come up, you can let everybody know in a second at any time.
Hey, Ryan, I'm trying to mute my microphone, but the wheels just keep spinning. So apologize for any background noise here.
Okay, let me mute you then.
But actually, before maybe, I have a question. Let me just close this door over here because I had, whenever you're ready, I had under my comment about the asking for reviews.
Oh, your comment was, oh yeah, you were on there for the reviews. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so really dropped the ball in the newsletter. It's kind of embarrassing, but we do have people like on just during your webinar there, we have people signing up for the newsletter, but we don't have a newsletter. So
right.
It's kind of.
I throw it out there. I wasn't calling you out, so
No.
Thank you for, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people on the call here probably, or watching the replay that are in the same boat, right? I mean, I'm guilty of that. I do send some stuff out for my directory toolkit, but my local directory, I got people sign up for that. I just haven't focused on a newsletter for that, and I haven't done that. So it's the old do as I say, not as I do. But think about it. You go look at your directory right now. If you're watching this, go log in, see how many people are on your newsletter list. Now, is there some spam in there potentially, right? But if you have 80 people or something on your newsletter list, you can call yourself out, Rich, and let me know how many people you have on there. But there's 50 people that said that they wanted to hear from you because you said you had a newsletter, because there's a link on your webpage to sign up for the newsletter, and you don't have one, and you haven't sent anything, right? So it doesn't even have to be that much. It could be, you literally type a message and say, hey, we just added a couple new businesses. They're looking for whatever. Here they are. I don't know. You can do whatever you want, or say, hey, there's a new, we just added a new blog article for here. Literally just write an article for 15 minutes, post it in there, and send it out in a quick newsletter to everybody. It doesn't have to be formatted. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just send it out. You can get Gucci later. Robert, I'm gonna start your audio. You were muted. And if you want to approve that, you can jump in the conversation here and ask your question. Or you said tech support had something for you that you wanted to pass on to the group. And again, if your audio is not working there, Robert, and you want to just send it out to everybody as well, you can just type it in the chat.
Okay. How about now?
Yep, good.
Oh, okay, good. The comment I had, it kind of did it just kind of touched on what you were getting at today. This was in forms, the various forms. Why I couldn't get, mainly I'm talking about the job application, or to post a job form, to post an event form in the form manager. I'm talking about in the toolbox. And I would add fields, and while I could see those fields myself, and on the front end, when the user is filling out the form, they submit it to me, I was not seeing the results on the back end. You follow what I'm saying, right?
The form submission?
Yeah, the form submission, and then when you go, like on your home page, and you would click on whatever that was the post there, you wouldn't see, like, for instance, some date or location, whatever. Well, I was shown that there's actually, all I was missing was a certain widget, and she set that up for me, and it's been fine from there on out.
Okay, was it the sidebar widget, metadata
yes,
widget?
Yeah.
Okay, so
yes,
let me show you that real quick. So most of the forms have the content where it just goes in the main part, or like, I guess, the listings, for example. So if you guys add, actually, sorry, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Give me a second. Okay, so what Robert's talking about is normally if you add something on a form, for example, if we go into the form manager, and Rachel, I've got your question, so I'll answer that in a second as well while we're on the form subject. You add in a particular form, let's say it's the listings one.
I was doing job listings, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just do the demo for the additional details member, right? So if you're adding some fields in there for the additional details form on the member, let's say you want to add not the pricing. Let's say you want to say add-on pricing, right? So let's say you add a field below, and you call this add-on pricing. And the cool thing, BD just did this as a recent change too. You used to have to make a variable, and people would screw it up because they put a space in there and you're not allowed to have it, right, or they'd forget it at all. And so sometimes, Robert, this is some of the issue where people didn't add a variable, and so it's not saving anything because there's no variable to save it as. So they were like, it shows up, you type in the answer, and then you go back in, there's no answer there. It's probably because there's no variable and there's nothing to save it to in the database. So always check that if it's not, quote, saving when you add it in there.
And also, doesn't the variable? Doesn't the variable also have to be? You can't have two of the same variables on the same sheet,
right? It has to be an independent variable, right? Because otherwise, if I put pricing there and I put pricing here, it's just going to override that with that as soon as that saves, right? It's like, oh, pricing is that. Oh, and pricing is that, and that will just disappear. So yes, it needs to be a different one. So because they added this new feature in there, just type and it'll automatically make a variable.
Right?
So
it does that.
Now it may be too long or not what you want, so you can kind of just go adapt it after the fact, but you don't have to accept whatever it has. You can go, like if it did add on pricing and I just wanted to put add on, right, instead of add pricing, you could do that. But you would go ahead and make that save changes, and then automatically, just because I added this one, as long as in the field settings it says show and display view here, and that is yes, it would automatically just add in that additional detail section whatever that data is I added in there. It will just show up on the listing. Now, what Robert is saying is the same thing on a form for, this is a good one for this one is housing. And I'm just going to go to the demo Bootstrap website as an example for this, just to kind of show you the part that Robert is talking about. I'm going to show you guys how to add that if for some reason it is missing. If you go to, and it's probably the same for your property listings. I just don't have any on my site there, so it's not there to show you. But if I go to a property listing site here, and so here's a property on the Demo Bootstrap property theme. I'm just going to open up a property one here. And you notice that it has some content here in various areas. But you notice on the sidebar it says property details. And right here it says status for rent. You notice I don't see, it says it here, right? Because for this one in particular, it's in a specific location up here. But I don't see, there's no content here like you would see for listing where it says status for rent down here in a big column. And you won't see any of this other details as well, right? Property details. You don't see type of property. Bedrooms and bathrooms here, square footage, year built, external link, right? That's just not there because it has some stuff in other areas, but some of the other post types don't, right? It doesn't have beds and baths up here. It may have that stuff in the metadata. It all depends on which theme you're using, potentially, what you've previously set up, what a developer has already set up for you. So this is where the data sometimes lies. It's not showing in here. It needs to have this widget in the sidebar in order for it to appear. So this is where you go to do that. What you're going to want to do is go to your content and edit post settings. And for whatever content type that is, you're going to want to go and edit that just to check one particular item. So let's just use we're using the property one on my site as an example. It was actually the other side, but this is mine. I just want to show you the same thing that we're talking about. So I'm going to go to property, and I'm going to go to edit this. And you're not going to actually edit anything. You just want to see what sidebar this particular listing is using. So I'm going to go to the detail page design, and I'm going to go down to the side here, and it says sidebar to use. And I only show you where this is at because sometimes the one that you think you're editing is not the one that was picked. And so you get frustrated and like, I just added that to the sidebar and it's not showing up and you're like refreshing, it's probably because you edited a sidebar that's not set up in the post type. So go to the post type you're concerned with, that it's not showing up in the sidebar. Go to the detail page design, scroll down, and see the sidebar to use. This is the one that is loading for that particular page. So it's post single page. And this is the default one. Generally, that's there. Some people, and I recommend adding in a custom one for each post type, just because you can edit different things for different post types and have unique content. Maybe it's a unique advertisement, or you want one thing in one area than the other. It just allows you to customize that by having a different sidebar for every post. So you would go duplicate and clone a sidebar, come into this exact spot, and then pick your custom sidebar, like this one, product service single page. I made a specific sidebar for the product service post type, and so you could pick that. So if you made a property single page clone, you could pick that from here. But for the most part, if you have not done any editing, it's always going to be the post single page, and it's basically saying, hey, for every post, single post entry, whether it be product, whether it be a classified ad, a video, it's going to use that post single page sidebar. So now that we know which one we're using, the post single page sidebar, you're going to go to the toolbox and sidebar manager. And there's going to be a list of the sidebars here. And we're going to look for that post single page sidebar that we just referenced there, the one that's showing. And you're going to want to edit that sidebar. And so once it loads, you're going to be looking for a particular module, which, as you see on mine, I do not have. You are looking for the Metadata 2.0 sidebar widget. So these are all the widgets on the right here that are currently on my site, and that is not there. So if I have some data in one of these things and I'm using the default one, it's not going to show up for me. So what you want to do is in this available widgets, just type in 2.0. And then you'll find the module post meta details version 2.0. And that the version doesn't mean anything. It just means they used to have an old one and they changed it. And now it's 2.0, right? So, but this is the one that you want to use. And drag that over to and you can put it wherever you want in your order stack, right? If you want it at the top with all the details, you'd add it there. Maybe you want posted by author and then the meta details, and then save changes. And then magically, like Robert's probably started working, as soon as you add in that post metadata version 2.0, you're just going to have a big column, just like you do on this one. This one's just going to suddenly appear with all that data you thought was missing or not going anywhere, and it has all the listings.
Right. Exactly. Now, I wanted to know if there's a way to put that data in the main part of the page, or does it have to be on the side? Because the Frola, whatever they enter on their Frola manager, their Frola editor, is going to appear in that middle section, and they may not add anything, and it would just look like a blank page with stuff along the side.
Yep, that's a great question. So what you can do is you can't really grab this thing from here. What you want to do is go to the widget manager. We're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to type in 2.0. All right. And again, these, if in case anybody's watching, if you don't know, you can add these. If it's a widget, you can add the widget code anywhere in your site, and it's going to put that widget there. So right here, here's the post metadata widget version 2.0. Just copy shortcode, okay? And it's going to grab the shortcode off from that. And what you want to do is go into the particular post settings, okay? Edit post settings. And the one that you want to add, let's do property because we're going to do that here. You're going to edit that because you're basically going to change what the layout is for that particular post type. And you're going to change this detail page design, okay? And so on there, you have the single page template code. And this is all the code that's displaying for that single page, right? Yeah. And so right here, it's going to have the description, right? The post content. It's going to have all of these tags in there. You should just be able to add in right after the end of all that content. Just throw in that widget right there.
Throw in that widget right there at the bottom? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's just going to append that entire widget with all the content at the bottom of that page.
That's not HTML, but it doesn't matter. Okay. You got
No, well, it is because it's basically, so when you're when you're adding that widget code in there, the system, the BD system's smart enough to go, you want to add the widget there. Okay. And so what it's doing, it actually is putting the HTML in there. What it's doing is it's basically magically parsing the HTML that's in that widget code in the spot where it's supposed to be without you putting any of the code in there, because it just dynamically adds it in there. So if you go to the view page source, it's actually going to have all the HTML in there. But what it's basically doing is when you make that call, it's going, okay, and it's pasting in and rendering all of that widget code, the CSS and or JavaScript code if that's in there, just automatically in that page. So you don't have to go grab this code or type all this code in there and have it in two spots. You literally go, hey, put that widget code right there.
Well, down at the bottom, right? Not Okay, got it. I'll do that.
In the same way, if you didn't want it at the bottom, you want it at the top. Let's say you wanted that above the image. You would just have to go add that code in the right spot, right, above the image code. Now it'd take a little bit more finesse there because you're trying to stick it in a particular spot, right? And I think that would work. Let me know if it doesn't, and I can help you out later, Robert. But you may have to be up inside of one of the divs, like up a div layer or something, to be inside of the framework or whatever. So just kind of play with that. If it looks kind of weird, like it's outside of the box, just kind of move it up. When I say move it up a div, I mean like instead of if you added it down here, right? You may have to just move it up a div, meaning like put it above that one, right? So it's inside of that, that box. Basically.
Well, you can always just go back to default if it doesn't look.
Yeah, you can go to default and then just re-add it somewhere else and go, okay, that looks good. Right.
Yeah, and because go ahead.
Yeah,
sorry. Well, on the Frolla Manager, I knew that what you just demonstrated a while ago, where you can make it one of three. You can have admin, you can have the full, or you can have just where you put text only. Can it be done to certain membership levels that way? Like if the premium members can have full access to the complete Frolla Manager, and basic members who don't pay for the site, free memberships, don't have access to that, or does it have to be all or nothing?
That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked that one before. I think it could work. And let me give you the code for that real quick, and see if I'm just going to paste it in the chat here, real quick.
Paste it in the chat. I'll save it. Right? Yeah.
So what you want to do, I'll put. I'm just going to put text here. Oops. See, I just dorked that up.
Is it going to show up in the chat box under the word?
Yeah, it should. I just messed it up there.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I just wanted to add one. Oh, there we. You're typing. Okay, Ryan. So it's typing.
All right. So there's the code.
There we go.
What I think you need to do, and this should render it properly. If you want to have a particular, like if you wanted Frolla Editor admin for the subscription ID, number 10 or whatever, you would just change that. That's the ID number of the membership level. So what this is basically going to say is if you are an admin of membership ID number 4, then put the Frolla Editor code in there. Otherwise, and then you'll have to have the different membership levels in there for the same code. You do the same thing. Like if it's 1, right, you're going to put this. If it's 2, put this one. And it may be fairly long, but you're basically going to have a specific version of that for each one. And I think that should work there. Now, the only thing I don't know is if it doesn't parse the PHP code inside of that class text there. It may not. I think I've done that before with some of the other ones, and each one of those boxes acts a little bit different. So I don't know that will do that, but it should. That should work. But
All
go
right,
ahead.
I'll look at that. Yeah, the last thing I wanted to add is the guy that had the podcast directory. I noticed that call to action on, he's got those 3 buttons on the first page. I kind of did the same to mine. I just have 2 buttons. Mine was a job posting for the transportation industry. It's either I had post jobs or search jobs. So either way, whoever's visiting gets taken to where they could take action themselves. Because I like the search functions that BD has, and I set up a separate page where it said extended search. It's just like I took the widget, I grabbed the widget, the short code, and pasted it on a blank page, and it brought up all the different search, modules that they can choose from, whether it be local jobs, specific jobs, this and that. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, and it worked for me.
Hey, Robert.
What module was that, or what widget?
I like to see his page.
Go ahead. It's called, go to roadrecruiter.com. The site's in disarray. There's a lot of things on there that make no sense. And I'll go to it also while we're talking here. Roadrecruiter.com.
Because one thing that I feel like, the yin and yang of putting those buttons on there is we lost the ability for people to just kind of search by topic, whatever, or like to include searching and later. Right now, like reading myself, I can't search for members because sometimes I have to.
Right. That's
you
right.
Can add that in there if you want. Just realize you can do both, right? This is just custom. It doesn't do multiple, but if you want that search bar underneath those, we can totally do that, Rich. I mean, or you could just have this nav bar back in there and go search by topic, search by location, search by whatever, and you just have that button linked to the search, page or something. So you can do that.
Okay. How do you do that? Okay, because like if you look at my front page and you click on search jobs, you'll see what I did there. Well, okay.
But your button, you don't have any buttons. You just have to add a link in the admin thing, and then these will turn into buttons there.
Yeah, I want to see his page of how he laid it out.
Yeah.
Jobs.
Can you see those buttons? You can't see the buttons?
No, I can see the buttons. I'm saying they're not linked.
Oh, they're not linked? Well, I don't know why they are for me. I'm on Google. I'm on Chrome. Post jobs in blue, search jobs in red. Okay. And if you click on
that may be overkill with all those things. But how did you add all those?
Right. I created a separate page, in the page builder, and I just named it Extended Search. And and I went and grabbed the short code of all the different search widgets.
Oh, okay. You put it. I thought there was one code and it just spit out all the searches.
Oh no, no.
You added the short code for every single one of these.
For every one of them, yeah. And they don't all have to be here. I'm just still experimenting.
Right, but this is a perfect example there, Robert. Though of a lot of people think like, oh, I'm using the location search, so I can't use the keyword search. Well, no, you can put multiple, search types on a page, or in this case, all of them, right?
And I even put the maps for every country. I mean, most of the United States and Canada will be focused, but I did that as well, and it works. It takes them right to the map. So,
I may do this on mine actually for a visual to see what one of those different ones look like. But again, obviously, all of these could be look differently depending on how you edit those.
Right.
Is that map interactive? When you scroll down to the map, can you make that map interactive when they hover over a certain state in the U.S.?
Yeah, that's default. Yeah, they already are like that.
Oh, it does?
I don't know where my map. Oh, there we are. Okay, there's Canada or the United States.
But if you click on that, will it show people, members in that particular state then?
It'll show, like for instance, click on Kansas. All right, so I click on Kansas and it's going to bring up it's in list form here or grid form, but that's because these members who are all just basically the only one is that Best is somebody who signed up. They're in New Jersey, but they got somehow listed everywhere. You know how how to set up the locations. Yeah, it's a whole different ballgame there. But that's that. Or if I can restrict it to somebody.
How Is that a widget? How did you?
Yeah,
make
it's
that
just a
map?
search widget.
Pardon me?
Oh yeah, the widget.
widget.
I grabbed the short code for the widget for that too. Yeah, yeah. You just go to the widget manager and you just type in type in map or whatever it was, and it'll bring everything up for you to see, and you can select which widget you're looking for. It's really simple to, like Ryan was doing a few minutes ago. You just type in one part of the word, like map, right there.
The bad thing is it's only countrywide. So if you're a state, it doesn't have like county or anything. That would be nice if they had counties or whatever.
Right, it would.
But
Yeah.
it's just set up here for let's see.
Either copy paste that or something, but
Yeah.
I like that idea because Ryan, you were talking about on that one chart of like how something about interactive where are getting content on
Clickable is the keyword here.
Because on the one during your PowerPoint, you had one graphic that talked about traction or something like that, or marketing. One was blogs, the other was podcast or whatever. But you also said live in-person events, and that's what we'd like to do is be able to have that map and then just pull out everybody in Texas or California and host an event based on that location.
Yeah, a COVID spreading event. Those girls are big right now.
Yeah. Yeah, our directory's going viral.
Literally. So just type in clickable here, and these are all the maps. So it's got New Zealand, Germany, U.S., Australia, UK, Canada, South Africa, Europe. So
it's clickable. That's what I need.
Clickable. Okay. There you go. Yeah, it would be great if they did state by state. So
yeah. Always something new to improve. So let me get to Rachel with a question.
Okay, thanks.
And I said I'd get to that. I just want to do that before we run out of time here for our 2 hours. So, so Rachel had a question on it because the forms are not set up to accept attachments and or like upload an image. She's asking the question if we can use that as a workaround to actually have people submit data. And I think the real crux of the issue is the difference between a form and a storing it in the database as a post type. So I think we're going to run into the same issue with just like we had where the upload button doesn't work on a form. You can't pick an upload. Let me go to the form manager to demo this while I'm talking about it. So if everybody doesn't know, the only form that you can upload files with is the additional details member form. There is an option there it's called CV or file upload. And it's right here, member CV and brochure upload. This is the only form because there's other stuff behind the scenes that has to happen with the database and the uploading and all that stuff. This is the only form that works with that option. So if you go and make a form on another page and you select member CV or brochure upload, that's not going to do anything. It won't work. You can upload it. It'll look like it's working, and nothing gets sent in an email. It doesn't get attached to an email. It doesn't save it to the database anywhere. That only works on the member listing details form. So hopefully that's a revelation. They said they are working on that to get that available for other forms, just not available right now. So her question is, can we use the file editor, right, to kind of proxy or work around that to have them upload an image and get around that issue? I think we're going to run into the same issue as this one that works. It'll look like it's there. They upload the image, but when it goes into that whole sending an email process, I don't think that image is going to be added anywhere. It's not like you can store it and then include it in the email. I'll be honest, I haven't checked it, but we'll have to do that. I don't think it will, because I think it's totally different process. The form process is not. It looks all the same, right? A form for sending or adding data to a post, or a form for sending an email. These all have the same look, but I think the process for that is different when it's a post type and it's the form and it's saving it to the database. It's uploading that image to the back end. It's adding it into that post to show it on the post listing. That is a different process than it sending out an email and uploading or attaching it to the email. And or in any fashion that you can get back to it on the back end. So Hopefully I got your question there straight. I don't know for certain that like, I'm 95% sure that that's not going to work.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Does that make sense though? Unfortunately.
Yeah, sort of. Thank you. Not sure you
Okay.
can hear me, but yeah, great. Thanks.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, perfect.
And I'm glad I guess I'm glad I waited to answer your question since you're a computer crash, but.
So Toby here, Beyond Nessie, just interjecting with what you were just saying there to Rachel. Rachel, you could probably use as a workaround by cloning one of the other post types and not do it. So it effectively take the photograph imagery or videos, the galleries, and clone those.
I mean, the question she's doing is sending an email, though, Toby, not adding it as a post type. I mean, you can get around that if it's just like posting data for you to use later, or potentially for adding data for other people to use that's available that you would be able to search as a post type entity. Like if, for example, if you're posting, say a resume. Well, that's what you would use it for normally anyway. But let's say you're posting a resume where everybody just uploads a resume as a post type and uploads a resume. You could probably have that in there. They're just posting it not as an email, but as a post type, and they could add a video or add images or upload or whatever. And then that would be stored as a post type, and you'd go look at it and search for it as a post type or whatever. But that's not what she's trying to do there, Toby. So I think it's a little bit apples and oranges. But yeah, definitely, you can always try to duplicate a post type that has the same functionality that you want and just repurpose it for another reason.
Yeah.
Thanks anyway.
But it's good to have multiple. Like Toby, you're in the UK as well, right? So multiple UKs in the house today. So
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, we're actually at our 2 hours right now. Any last minute items from anybody that we didn't talk about? Hopefully you guys got some stuff out of that today. Really good discussion. Once we woke some people up, I got some comments. So appreciate everybody jumping in with a few comments. Any last minute things before we sign off?
No, thank you.
Yeah, Ryan, can I try some rapid fire questions here for you?
Sure.
We don't have to go into any great detail, just kind of, quick.
Hey, Rich, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off just for the recording piece.
Okay.
And then I'll get after you after we stop the recording. So, so for everybody again, thank you for watching Directory Webinar number 26. Again, thank you. Go to directoryvideos.com. Go ahead and subscribe and like that. If you do miss any videos, you'll be able to get those later date. And again, if anybody does need any help or reference directorytoolkit.com for me, you can make a meeting with me if you want at any time as well. So again, until next time, thanks for everybody showing up. See you guys next week, same time, Thursday at 1:30. Okay, go ahead, Rich.